Heads up, I had a minor audio issue that's affecting about 7 videos, and this is one of them. Back to normal soon.
Welcome to rSlash Offmychest, where OP might have actually killed a man. Our next Reddit post is from Familiar Crow. I've been holding this in for almost 50 years, and I finally got to the point where I just need to say it. I don't care if people believe me or not. I need to get this off my chest. Back in 1976, I was about 17 years old. There was this kid I knew, Danny Lynn Stevens. We grew up in the same area in Pasadena, Texas. A few weeks before everything happened, he and I got into it over some money that he owed me. He hit me in the face with a Zippo lighter, busted my nose open. I was pissed off, and I didn't let it go. Not long after that, I got picked up by Pasadena cops. A car had been reported stolen and found wrecked not far from where I was walking. They figured I was involved, started asking me who was driving it. Still mad about what happened with Danny, I gave them his name. But it wasn't him. I knew that it wasn't him. It was another kid I knew who actually took the car, but they never found that guy. A couple of months later, I was in court for a setting on an unrelated case when, out of nowhere, a detective walked up to me with a photo and asked, "Is this the guy who was driving the car?" It was Danny's photo. I told the truth. I said no. And then he goes, "Don't worry about it. He's dead anyway." I was just shocked. I didn't know what to do. I panicked, so I said, "Yeah, that's him." He said, "Okay," like that's all he was looking to hear, and walked off like it was nothing. And that was the last anyone ever said to me about Danny Stevens, like they just swept his death under the rug. I only found a short newspaper clipping saying he hanged himself in a padded cell using a straitjacket strap. He'd been arrested for suspicion of auto burglary. That was it. No investigation, no real autopsy I could find, no paperwork. Just some tiny newspaper clip saying he died. I've never believed he killed himself. He wasn't that kind of kid. He wasn't crazy. He wasn't in deep trouble or anything. Auto burglary doesn't equal suicide. I've always thought that they beat him or choked him trying to get a confession and that it went too far. And yeah, I was the one who gave them his name. That's been with me every day since. What really made it worse is that a few years later, in 1981, they did the same kind of thing to me. Picked me up again, took me behind the jail, choked me, and tried to force me to give up someone else's name. I didn't say a word. Not after what they did to Danny. I didn't trust them. And ironically, the person they wanted me to name was the person who actually stole the car in 1976. And I didn't trust them not to kill him too. I still don't trust them at all. And now, after all these years, I finally spoke about it at the Pasadena City Council meeting. I told them everything. I'm filing a Texas Public Information Act request to get any record, anything at all about Danny's death, because I've looked and there's just nothing. Until the city shows me a single report, a single piece of paperwork, then I have every reason to believe they killed him, and I don't think I'm wrong. I was just a dumb kid who gave them a name out of spite. And someone died, and I've lived with that. It's time people knew what happened, or at least started asking. Our next Reddit post is from a non-cheese grater. My coworker's coochie stinks, and I can't take it. We're both in our 20s and work in a closed quarters office. I for real can't stand it. I'm wasting my body spray using it several times a day to cover up the stench of her sit-down air. I've smelled it lingering in the office. And yes, it is one distinct smell, obviously from one source. I've smelled it for a while, but I never knew that it was her because she wasn't always sitting right next to me. We had a cubicle between us, but they moved her down to put the new people together at the front of our row. Ever since then, it's become blatantly obvious that she's been the one stinking up the office with her stank cooch this entire time. The worst part is she, no joke, gets up 12 to 15 times a day to use the bathroom. She's been written up for it because by the end of her shift, it amounts to 45 to 90 minutes in the bathroom. I'm not kidding. So not only is she constantly stinking up the bathroom, she's constantly wafting it around. Like she walks in a way that is so exasperated that she just wafts the smell around. And then she plops in her chair, dramatic as hell, just dispersing a giant stink cloud every time she sits down. She's the definition of sloppy. You know how they make jokes that the smelliest people do the most with their movements? Yeah, I also can't express how bad the bathroom smell is. If the smell lingers for minutes after she sits down, you can imagine how long it lingers when her thing hits the air naked. I can smell from 5 feet away if she's just using the family-style toilet, one toilet in a room. If she leaves the door too ajar, it'll stink up the entire hallway. I just need it to vent. Sounds like that's what she's been doing, venting her cooch as well. I can't do anything about it, but man, how can you stink so bad? Down in the OP also adds in an edit. Also, the comments giving me advice on ways to approach her myself or spend my money to help her can also stop. Hell no. I don't know if y'all have just never worked in corporate, but all those suggestions could wind up with me getting fired. Down in the comments, we have this story from Infinite Top. Oof, she reminds me of this girl I knew from college who had the same issue. Come to find out, someone finally got sick of her stank and got around to asking her if she knew about the smell and if she was okay. She said she didn't and thought everything was normal. She was nose blind to it herself. This girl asked her about her hygiene practices. After a bit of back and forth, guys, she would wipe the wrong way and had for the whole 20 years of her life. Nobody had taught her how to wipe properly as a child. She was raised by her dad, who was too clueless to know better. And she never went to a doctor about it for a checkup or anything. She thought that it was normal. The horror. She got herself fixed up after that and finally got over her stank phase. But it was the first time it ever occurred to me that some people don't know how to wipe. OP, I think another way to solve this would be to set up a fan and point it so that the wind blows past your coworker and towards the boss's office. Then I'm sure that it would get solved pretty quickly, one way or the other. Our next Reddit post is from Thoughts of Koi. Back in June, my boyfriend was killed in a motorcycle accident. He was only 20 years old. He was doing everything right, going the speed limit, had his helmet in his gear, being cautious, when someone turned in front of him at an intersection because they were distracted. My boyfriend didn't make it. The person who hit him is 18, and because they're young, want to go to college, and have a future ahead of them, the court gave them just 1 year of probation and 100 hours of community service. That's all! No jail time, no real accountability. But what about my boyfriend's future? He was kind, so deeply kind and caring to me and everyone around him. He worked hard every day and was saving up so that he could go to college too. He had dreams, goals, plans, and now he's gone. It's like none of that mattered. Like his life was weighed against theirs and decided to be worth less. And that breaks me. I don't know what I'm looking for by posting this. Maybe I just want someone to hear me. Has anyone else ever been through something like this? How do you live with the grief and the injustice? I've heard people say many times before that if you want to get away with murder in America, kill someone with a car, because you typically just get a slap on the wrist. Obviously, if you're driving 100 miles per hour or if you're drunk, then it's going to be a lot worse. But if you just run someone over, even on purpose, and you're like, oh, whoops, my bad, I didn't mean to. It happened, oh well. Then typically not a lot's going to happen to you. Our next Reddit post is from Squid Slippers. I'm extremely jealous of my friend because his parents just paid off $375K of his debt. I hate to admit it, but I'm seething with jealousy right now to the point that I've been crying on and off for a while. Life is so ridiculously unfair sometimes, and that's fine for the most part. But man, if it didn't piss me off just now. My friend is an idiot. He's kind, but he's a typical rich kid who hasn't had to work or think a day in his life. Last October, he leveraged his parents' wealth to get a $375K loan to start a luxury handbag company. But he spent exactly 0 time or effort into researching whether or not people wanted that style of handbag. He was pretty arrogant about it, saying that he knows art, fashion, and marketing well enough to sell them. And he was 100% confident that people would want them. Well, turns out they don't. To this day, he sold exactly 0 of them. Partially because he stopped marketing it because he got busy, and he's sitting on an inventory of 150 bags? What? In December, he started his monthly installments of $10,500 a month to pay back the loan. And of course, he didn't pay it, not even close. So he's screwed, right? And honestly, he kinda deserves it, right? I mean, who spends nearly $400K on a whim like that? He thought that people would come to him, and he gave up when they didn't. Who does that? An only child with ultra-rich parents and no stakes. That's who. Today, he called me with great news. His parents just forgave him his debt. They gave him all the inventory, paid the loan back completely, and said they'll just take it out of his inheritance. And just like that, it's over. The call lasted all of 2 minutes because it wasn't even that big of a deal to him. He almost expected it. I can't believe it. I mean, sure, I'm happy for him, as I don't want his life to be ruined by debt. I just think about how ridiculously hard I've had to work in my life, often working 2 jobs, weekends, holidays, all just to barely get by. I can't even imagine the life he lives. His parents paid for his art school, his study abroad, his first house, and now this. He just gets to do whatever he wants. Hell, he went to art school in Italy that was paid for. And I just had to put my eggs back at the grocery store. It was an unfriendly reminder that while I'm slaving my life away, rich people are effing around doing stupid stuff just because they can. Oof. What I can't get over is how this guy spent $400K almost and he only has 150 bags to show for it. Now, obviously, the first number of items that you manufacture are going to be more expensive because you have to buy the machine, which is a huge upfront cost. And then, you can make a lot of products with that machine. But still, doing the math on that, it comes out to $2,500 per bag. Also, the thing that really sticks out to me is how casually this guy called up OP to say, oh yeah, by the way, no big deal about that debt anymore because my parents paid it off. If I blew $400K on a failed business idea, I'd be so ashamed and embarrassed that I wouldn't want to tell anyone. I'd be even more embarrassed that my parents bailed me out. So this guy's so out of touch that he just doesn't realize that he's living a charmed life. Our next Reddit post is from Opposite Impress. I've been seeing a guy for 2 months. We make fun of each other playfully a lot. At least I thought that was part of our dynamic. A couple of hours ago we were cuddling and I told him something like, I feel really comfortable in your arms and I could stay here forever. He replied jokingly, that way you'll be extra surprised when I leave you in 30 years for someone younger. So I replied that I would never marry him. He asked why, and I told him I could see his receding hairline and I would rather die than be married to a bald man. This was the first time that I made fun of his hairline. We do mock our appearances, but I hadn't ever called him bald. He sat up really quickly, and without saying anything, he just punched me. He made my nose bleed. He then stood up and asked me why I would say something like that, and I couldn't even speak because I couldn't understand what was going on. He kept repeating himself until I said that it was a joke. He said, then why'd you say it so serious? I said it was part of the joke. He told me that he felt that I was attacking him personally and I should apologize. I was in such shock that I couldn't even answer. He kept nagging until I said, okay, I'm sorry. And he said, okay, sorry for hitting you then. And just sat down like he didn't just punch me in the face full force. All my face hurt. I was bleeding, but I just sat there. I couldn't speak, couldn't react. Eventually, I stood up and went to the bathroom to clean myself, and he later left, still acting like it was nothing. He told me he would call tomorrow. I'm alone, and I still can't process what the hell happened. What do I do? Block him everywhere and never talk to him again? Ask him, what the hell? Break up through text? Well, OP, if I were you, I would start with a police report, a visit to the hospital to get it all documented, and hopefully get this guy in jail because you can't just go around punching people in the face. I don't know why Baldy has to be so sensitive over here.
That was rSlash Offmychest, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit episodes every single day.